right, y'all. Sunday football props week 14. About how many weeks left till playoffs? 4, right?
4 weeks.
Well, technically 5 weeks left. But playoffs are coming up really fast, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately. It's a good time of year for sure. But playoffs are almost around the corner. We still have yet to hit a 6-man. But last week would have been a perfect week. He went 3-0. So if you tilled his props, congrats. If you took any of mine, I'm very sorry.
It's okay, though. And I also hit Thursday night, so we're doing great. But we can win you money. All you got to do is look into our research.
Or pick
look
right.
into it and see which props you like, because we are giving you winners.
Or pick something that's correct, because, some people sell you, some people don't. So, all right, I'm going to let EJ kick us off with his 3 props. And I'm going to give you 2 props because my third prop got taken off the board, but I'll still give you why to put that in there.
It's off the board right now. It's Tuesday. Everything's changing. We didn't have much to work with, but it'll be back. It's on there every week. All right, guys. So we're going on for another strong week. Week 14. I got Davante Adams over 68.5 receiving yards. He's gone over 70 receiving yards in 3 straight games. He's playing a very weak Vikings defense that is giving up the 10th most receiving yards per game to the wide receiver position. That number is 166 yards per game. That's 100 yards more than this line is set at. As I said, the line is 68.5 receiving yards. Also, with his QB, Aiden O'Connell, he's averaging 10 targets per game in Aiden O'Connell's 4 starts this year. He's coming off his bye week, where teams usually like giving their best weapon the ball after the bye week, and I think he's going to be implemented in the game plan. And I think Davante Adams is going to get a lot of targets and a lot of opportunities against a Vikings defense that gives up 166 yards per game to the wide receiver position. And like I said, that's the 10th worst in the league. So hit the over on Davante Adams. Next, Isaiah Pacheco, over half a touchdown. Passing, receiving, or rushing. Most likely going to give you a rushing or receiving touchdown. He scored a touchdown in back-to-back games, coming off his bye week with 2 last week and 1 the week prior. So, obviously, like I said in Davante Adams' take, Isaiah Pacheco coming off the bye week is the goal line running back, and they want to get him the ball on the goal line because they want to punch it in 100%. Also, they're playing a Bills team, which is a must-win game. They're not messing around. They're on the goal line. They're going to give it to Isaiah Pacheco, who scored in back-to-back weeks. Also, the over-under for this game is 47.5. I'm targeting a goal line running back in a 47 over-under for total points. Then, I got CeeDee Lamb over 89.5 receiving yards. Yes, I know. Plays for the Cowboys. Yes, I know the Cowboys are playing the Eagles, but I'm more loyal to myself, okay? And I want to win money. So, CeeDee Lamb is going to go over. Yes.
What do you do the last game that they played?
I got it right here.
Right.
So, the last time they played, he got 191 yards.
Jesus.
Okay? This line is set at 89.5. That's half of... So, if he just plays half as good as last game, yeah, and it's in Dallas where they average 40 points per game, okay? So, not saying the Cowboys are going to win, because I do not think the Cowgirls are going to beat the Eagles. Eagles are coming off a loss, and the Cowboys have beaten one team that's over 500, and that was the Seahawks last week, and that was by the skin of their teeth. I think the Eagles are coming into Jerry World and handing the Cowgirls their loss, because all good things must come to an end, and it's too good to be true for the Cowboys to stay at home against the Eagles. Also, my Eagles give up 195.5 yards per game to the wide receiver position. That's the 3rd most in the league right now, 195. The line is set at 89.5. CeeDee's going over. We need help on defense, but we're going to get it done. Hit the over on CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
Go Birds.
The Eagles defense went from the best secondary to the worst secondary in a matter of a year, and I don't get why.
We score a lot of points.
I love Darius Slay. I hate James Bradbury, and I think he's the problem.
I think he's the problem too. Also, Byard hasn't been playing too well.
Yeah, that Byard trade not looking so good right now.
I mean,
Hopefully in the
give up
playoffs
much.
he comes back and he reestablishes himself. But right now, on that Byard trade, it's not looking
And
good.
Blankenship's good, but he's late to the ball a lot and just likes to hit people. Like he's not batting down
Yeah,
passes.
he's gonna get a concussion before he gets another pick. All right, so
You're gonna take Reed Blankenship, concussion before interception.
all right, so my first prop, Kyron Williams, over a half anytime touchdown. He has scored in his last 3 games, and in the best rush defense in the Browns last week, he scored on them at the end of the game. But here's why he did that: because Sean McVay has Kyron Williams on his very own fantasy team.
Enough said.
That's really all you need to know about this. But they play Baltimore this week, who are 11th versus the rush. The game is in Baltimore, and Baltimore during this time of year is very crappy. It is windy, it is cold, and it rains a lot. So they're going to run the ball a lot this game, I think. Another crazy stat for you that I just said, Sean McVay is on his coach's team. That is the one stat you just need to know. Okay, if you have a player that is on your very own fantasy team, you're gonna favor him in this game. Okay, Kyron is hot enough to keep this rolling, and the Rams are very good in getting into the red zone. When they're in the red zone, 65% of their plays are running plays for a touchdown. You do not see them passing it to Cooper Kupp or Puka at all in the red zone.
Speaking of Puka, he's got an AC joint sprain, so he's banged up.
So I think Kyron goes off this game again. Doesn't mean anything for me, but Kyron goes off in this game, and I think the Rams keep on rolling. Let's see what happens. My second prop, Justin Tucker, over 1.5 field goals. Okay. In his last 5 games, he has had 2 or more attempts at a field goal. The Rams have been holding teams in the red zone as of late. Tucker has made exactly 2 in his last 2 games. Coming off a bye, those legs are going to be fresh. Again, game is in Baltimore. Kicking could be huge in this game. Again, if it's bad, maybe you don't expect him to kick a lot. But if it's good, sometimes it is. Maybe they might trot him out there. I expect the Ravens to feel confident in sending Tucker out there for 3 points if they struggle to get it going on offense, which we have seen this year. And the Rams are a team that they do struggle against, or they could struggle against. My last prop that is not on there, and I'm not putting it on there unless it pops up in the week before I edit this. Jalen Hurts over a half rushing touchdown. Okay, tush push, brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. He has scored a rush touchdown in his last 4 games. The tush push is certainly undefeated. It's been stopped a couple times, but most of the time it works. Last time they played Dallas, he had run 1 rushing touchdown. Eagles treat every down 1-9 instead of 1-10 because of the tush push. Red zone is obvious what they do. Dallas has been hot lately. Eagles come off a bad performance at home. Hurts is not happy. I see him going off on that Dallas defense, and he's going to do it with his legs.
I absolutely agree with that, and it's going to get banned next year, it looks like. So they're just going to do it more because there's only 7 more games that they're allowed to do it.
Well, yeah, hopefully it doesn't get banned, but Roger Goodell doesn't seem to like it. And his reasoning behind it is because there's been 8 players that have been hurt off of tush push attempts from other teams. That's maybe a team that can't do it.
31 other teams to do it. 31 other teams can't do it. How about that?
Yeah, it can't. The Bills tried it against them, and it worked.
Yeah, that was a little questionable. He was a little stood up a little.
That was funny.
Sure.
That was funny. I like it. That is our 5-man for the week. Hurts would be our 6-man, but he is not in there. They took him off. I hope they put him back on. If they do, that is a smash for me.
I like it. All right. Tell that, win yourself some money on your day off. So, fantasy players. I got Noah Brown. In his 2 games, he had 27 and 24 when there was a player injured because Nico Collins missed time and Tank Dell was banged up this year. Tank Dell is now gone for the season. So, like I said, prior, In the games where he was starting, 24 and 27. Robert Woods and John Mechie split snaps, okay? Noah Brown plays full-time, all right? He is the starting receiver on the other side of Nico Collins. Also, they play the Jets. Nico Collins is going to be the focus, and Sauce Gardner is going to be on Nico Collins. He may not have a great game, but I think Noah Brown has a very good game. This offense has been very potent through the air with the Texans, and C.J. Stroud has proven us wrong and playing very well. I think Noah Brown has a big game. Now, to my second fantasy player, Elijah Moore, another wide receiver.
I was looking at him. Yeah, I was.
I think he's a sneaky fantasy play.
Very favorable matchup this week.
Yes. He's playing a Jags defense, gives up the 26 most fantasy points to wide receivers. All right? That means only 6 other teams in the league give up more points. And he's playing with Joe Flacco, who I think is a pretty good quarterback through the air. All right? He had a 27% target share last week. And people tend to forget Joe Flacco and Elijah Moore played together on the Jets. Elijah Moore played pretty good in his games with Joe Flacco. So Joe Flacco has that camaraderie with Elijah Moore. He's playing against a weak Jags defense. There's no Trevor Lawrence this week, it looks like. There's no Christian Kirk this week, it also looks like. If they do, they're banged up, so their offense may not be as good. And they're playing the Jets, so they may play down the competition. The Jags do tend to do that a little bit, as the Bengals were in a game they shouldn't have been last night. But I think Elijah Moore is a nice, sneaky, deep league play for you. Now, brings me to my Sunday night football player. I didn't want to do this, but Jake Ferg for the Cowboys is a start. He's playing against the Eagles. The Eagles are not good against the tight end. I've been saying it ever since I'm an Eagles fan. For some reason, we just cannot guard the tight end. Travis Kelce decided to have a bad game against us, even though he did get in the end zone. But I think Jake Ferg has a good game. We just signed Shaq Leonard at linebacker. Linebackers guard the tight end position. That means we're struggling in that department. Also, we traded for Kevin Byard. Safeties guard the tight end position. The 2 positions that guard the tight end, we are struggling in and have had to make acquisitions on the defensive side of the ball. Start Jake Ferguson. Cowboys drop over 40 at home. They won't do it this week, but Jake Ferguson might get in the end zone. Go Eagles. Dub City. NFC East champs 2023.
All right, well, yeah, I was looking at Jake Ferguson, and I think he does have a big game, fortunately. But for my fantasy player, number 1, Sam Laporta. Okay, it's kind of obvious that some people would have this, but before last game, he was kind of struggling a little bit. So it makes sense of why someone would put him on their bench. He went 9 for 9 last week versus Saints, and that defense is really good. Okay? Yeah. And this week, he plays the 28th ranked defense versus tight end position in the Bears. Division game on the road. He had 30 points last week. That is huge for a tight end. Last time he played Chicago, he did not get involved a lot, scoring only 6.8 points. Still pretty good for a tight end in fantasy football, but this time around, Lions need to reestablish themselves after blowing a big lead last week and just winning by the skin of their teeth. He has also been the go-to guy on third downs for the Lions. Start him with confidence. Now, my second fantasy player, a second tight end, Gerald Everett. Okay? If you need a tight end, if your tight end is a lot banged up, Gerald Everett is the guy you want to pick up. He's playing the 32nd ranked defense versus the tight end position in the Broncos this week. In his last 2 games, he's gone 14.8 and 8.4 points coming off of an injury. Everett has been Herbert's safety valve the last couple games, with the Chargers low on weapons and Keenan Allen being taken away by the opposing defenses. Everett has been getting involved in the offense a lot more. That they have been struggling for weeks in the run game and even the pass game. He has gotten targeted 4 to 5 times a game in his last 2, catching 4 for 4 and 4 for 5 for 43 and 44 yards. He has been consistent post-injury. The tight end position right now in fantasy football is hard to come by. Gerald Everett is a safe lock for me for this week. I might start him if Dallas does not play. If Dallas Goedert's playing, I'm not starting him. But other than that, I would start him.
He almost scored last week.
He did,
Herbert
but
missed him.
I'm not gonna talk about that game. All right, my last fantasy player, Jake Elliott,
Okay.
kicker
I like
for
that.
the Eagles.
That's
all right,
what I should have done.
Jake Elliott. He is the best kicker in football right now. Even though he's not producing a lot for fantasy, he's still making the big time kicks. If he's on waivers or on your bench for some weird reason, he deserves a start in this game. Division rival game. I see this as a must-win for the Eagles so they stay above Dallas in the division and don't let them catch up. The Cowboys defense is going to give the Eagles some trouble in the first half. As we've seen, Philadelphia has struggled to get it going in first halves. Also, they've been turning to their kicker in first halves when they can't convert in the red zone. Also, this game could be a shootout, and this is great for kickers. Another thing is, reason why Elliott's production has been low the past few games is because of the weather. KC was terrible. The Bills game was kind of bad, kind of not, and then last week was purely awful, right? So in all those games, you don't really go to a kicker. But this game is indoors, which is really big for this one. Perfect environment. If for some reason Eagles have trouble converting in the red zone due to the Cowboys defense, Elliott is the guy. 3. Why not? We'll see what happens. Also, he hit a 60-yard field goal against the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
So that's what?
And 59
4
in the
points
rain
right
against
there?
The Bills. Yeah.
That's what? So they have confidence in Jake Elliott. So do we. Jake Elliott is my kicker if you need a kicker, and we've seen kickers decide some games.
And they produce a lot in the Cowboys Stadium as the kicker for the Cowboys, Brandon Aubrey, is number 2 in fantasy. So Jake Elliott, who can kick a 59-yarder in the rain against the Bills with the game on the line, can definitely get it done in a dome in Jerry World. Like I said, over 500 team coming into Jerry World, going to get it done. Brandon Aubrey over on field goals may not be a bad idea, but take the Eagles money line.
All right, well, that is our Sunday props. We'll see what happens. Let's hope we hit our 5-man. And if you need a 6-man, I provided it for you. Jalen Hurts. Tush push, baby.
Hurts so good.
See y'all Monday night.